Hi everyone, here I am back to show you some really cool things about titles. As you can see, I've got some experiments for graphics on here, and you can see I've got the encounter on the same piece we were working on before that I recorded for you. So just to turn this off, I'm going to turn video 2 off so you can see what we had when we left off. I also, to increase my playback capacity, I also brought playback resolution down to 1/4, so it'll be better playback, even though it'll look worse. So let's just take a look here for a moment. I'm actually going to go to my, I've been playing with graphics and titles. It's changed a little bit since in this new 2023 version than I remember it being in 2022. So we're going to do some really cool things. We're going to learn a little bit more about, we're going to learn about the type tool. I'm going to switch back to the selection tool here, which is the main tool that we can use. And I'm also going to show you some other tools. But just to move on here, let's go ahead and just play what we have so far. Okay, so we like the Bugs Bunny intro, but it's kind of weird. It doesn't really go with Jinxie Jenkins and Lucky Lou. So what I'd like to do is maybe use some of the Bugs Bunny music, but I don't want the video. So what would I do? How would I get rid of that? So the first thing I would do is I would click on this link selection toggle and turn it off. Okay, and that would allow me to remove just the video from Bugs Bunny. But first I have to click in this empty area so that I'm not selecting Bugs Bunny, both the video and the audio. And then what I can do is just click on only the video, hit delete, and because I turned this off, I only am deleting the video here. I could do the same thing over here. As you may recall, I have the Jinxie Jenkins music and Laurel and Hardy music playing at the same time. If you listen, it's pretty bad. Let's just play that. Oh wow, my playback is freaking out. Let's play it again. So I have both Jinxie Jenkins and Lucky Lou playing, and I only want to hear the audio of Laurel and Hardy. So I would click here because I've turned the link selection toggle off, and I will only select the audio from Jinxie Jenkins and turn it off. Okay, so what I want to do now is maybe I want to make some titles. Now, I'm also going to teach you how to do some trimming, make things shorter or longer, but let's talk about titles for a minute. Okay, so what I can do here is I can go ahead and I can use my text tool to start typing. Okay, so if you'll take a look, I'm going to turn this on. I typed the word encounter and I made it a text file that I can show, like maybe over Jinxie Jenkins and Lucky Lou. So for example, and I'm going to remove this futuristic title. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. So let's say I just wanted to bring all the video from Jinxie Jenkins over the Bugs Bunny sound. What I can do is I can just use the selection tool and I can just drag it all the way over. But there's a tool that's really great, which is called the Ripple Edit tool, which we're going to learn more about in a little while. But now, if you take a look at what I have the encounter over the Bugs Bunny audio. So if I move that over a little bit and I play this, this is what I have. Okay, so obviously we're seeing some of the title from Jinxie Jenkins and Lucky Lou. So maybe what I want to do is I want to actually move what's in Jinxie Jenkins and Lucky Lou over. So I could do, there are some fancy things that I can do, but I'm not going to show you those just yet, just because I don't want people to get confused. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just move this over like this. And I think what I'll do is I'll put Bugs Bunny, I'll move everything over to the left because I like the way this begins. And I'm just going to take all of this here and I'm going to drag over. I'm actually going to move Bugs Bunny down just for a moment. And there's this tool here, which will allow me to select everything that I want to move over. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this button. And when I click here, notice it's selecting everything that I want to move over from the point that I'm selecting. Once again, I'll say that again. If I click here, it's going to move everything over from this point. If I click here, it's going to grab everything completely. But I only want to grab this stuff, okay? So I'm going to click here and move it over to the beginning, okay? So it's moved, everything's moved all the way over. And that's a nice quick way to handle things, okay? Now, what I can do is I can also, if I click and hold, I could also do the opposite and select backwards. So let's say, for example, I'm going to undo by hitting Command Z. And by the way, you'll notice on the lower right, you can see my hotkeys or keyboard shortcuts so that makes things easier for you. So let's say, for example, I wanted to just select from the right and I only wanted maybe this part. If I click here, you'll notice it only takes everything to the right of where I click. So this is a handy tool that allows you to grab things very quickly from tracks that are on. I believe, let's do a little experiment here. I'm going to turn this track off. I'm going to click over here and I'm going to click there. You'll notice it's still selecting what's on track B2 because it is overriding the track selectors. Sometimes with certain functions, the track selectors matter. In this case, they don't. So once again, I'm just going to grab this and move it over. There is one other way you can do this, which is, let me Command Z. I could just use my selection tool and draw a lasso around the things that I want to select. Sometimes that's faster and easier, depends on what you want to do. And now I'm just going to move everything over again. Okay, so now I've moved everything over. I like the way this begins. Okay, it starts here. I still want to use Bugs Bunny, so maybe I'll put Bugs Bunny here. And I'm going to mute Jinxie Jenkins for a moment. And let's just see how this sounds. Okay, I have a few other titles. I'll actually move this one over so that you don't get confused here. And as you can see, I can do a lot of things. That's why this is called a nonlinear editing program. I can just change things up whenever I want to. So let's just see here. Okay, and I have the encounter here as well. Let's turn that off as well. Okay, so now, do I like this or do I maybe not want to use Bugs Bunny? Well, there are a few things to think about here. First of all, Bugs Bunny is on its own track A2, right? Well, what if I want to think about how organized this is? Maybe this is the audio from Jinxie Jenkins. This is new audio. Well, watch this. If I double click on track A2, I can actually name the track. So I named this music. And I double click over here. And this is called audio 1. If I right click, I have to double click to open the track and make it bigger. I can rename it. And I can, instead of audio 1, I can call it, let's see, audio Jinxie, for example, right? I could call it whatever I want, which is kind of nice. And this is audio, this is music, right? So, and let's just look at that for a second. Let's drag that down here. Music, see that? Sorry, it's a little small there. Audio Jinxie. Here, I double click on Jinxie Jenkins Lucky Video. This is like main video. Instead of Audio Jinxie, why don't we just call this main audio? So I can go ahead, I'll double click here and right click or control click, rename, and I'll call this main audio so I can be consistent. Audio. All right, so there we have it. Okay, so now I've decided, well, do I like the Bugs Bunny sound? Well, I could leave it there as my possible music, and I could even name it Bugs Bunny. That whole track could be Bugs Bunny audio if I wanted, right? But then I decide, I'm going to mute Bugs Bunny, and I'm going to turn on Jinxie Jenkins, and I'm going to turn off video 2 so I can really just take a look and say, well, maybe I don't want Bugs Bunny. But at least you understand that you could bring it in if you wanted to, and you could remove Jinxie Jenkins completely. But let's see what works best. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to say, you know what? I don't want Bugs Bunny. I'm just going to mute it. And when I export, Bugs Bunny won't play. I won't hear it. But let's say I had a client and I wanted to possibly show them a different audio track. I could just easily unmute this one, mute this one, and obviously I'd want it to sound right, and I'd mix it correctly, and I'd move it around so it sounds right. But that gives you an idea of how you can really make things work nicely. So let's take a look here before I show you how to do titles. We're gonna just scrub here quickly, and let's just see what would happen. Like, how do we edit these endpoints, right? The outgoing part of this clip and the incoming part of this clip, which is called, this is basically a cut, and this is the A side of the cut and the B side of the cut. Let's take a look. So let's say, that's cool. And oh, now there's no audio. So what I could do is, since I don't have these selected here, I have link selection off. I could take this and I could drag it over so that now the music from Jinxie Jenkins is consistent even though I changed the cut. Now immediately you'll see that it's showing that it's out of sync because the music that went with this clip is now not working with it. But that's okay because maybe it's going to work anyway with the same track that continued from this beginning part. So I'm going to go ahead and remember Laurel and Hardy is on a audio track 2, but maybe I've decided I'm just going to stick with Jinxie Jenkins and Lucky Lou. I was just really showing you this to show you how you can completely change things around. So let's take a look here. So that actually worked, even though it was music that was from a different part of Jinxie Jenkins and Lucky Lou. It worked pretty well. Let's just take a look again. That was actually perfect. Now, right here, maybe that doesn't work because we're hearing some other sound effects, right? But what we could do is we could bring back the other music. There are a lot of things we can do. But let's say right here, let's just take a look here. That's really nicely done. But what if I wanted to make it longer? Okay. There are some things I could do that would work really nicely. I could just go ahead, and sometimes things can be a little bit weird with Premiere when you have tracks that you have like a video and audio track that are not next to each other. The ripple edit tool is really good. It can really help with situations where you have your video and your audio nicely connected to each other. So let me show you how that works. I'm just going to bring some things in here. I'll just move my playhead over here. Okay, that works so well, I don't want to mess with it. Plus, I kind of disconnected everything. So let's just take a look at how to use the ripple edit tool, and then we'll get into titles. I'm going to click link selection toggle and link things up. And I'm just going to grab Gertie the dinosaur. So let's just go over here. And here's Gertie the dinosaur. slowly coming up. And actually it's there, it's just we're in the black before it, okay? So let's say we start here, okay? And I hit I, remember I to mark in. Sorry it's not showing here, but it's I. And then I hit L to play forward. And I'm gonna hit L again to make it go faster, as you might recall. So she comes in, eats. Okay, and let's say I like that. Okay, and I mark out, okay? And because we're at the end, I can hit the dot or the comma. Okay, so now Gertie the dinosaur is in here. And remember, they're linked, okay? So don't forget that. Okay, and once again, I'm gonna now say, well, this is very slow by today's standards. So maybe I'm gonna grab this section where she's bowing, okay? So we're gonna go over here and I'm gonna hit I. And I'm going to speed it up very slow. Okay, and I'm going to mark out and I'm going to hit comma. It doesn't matter because I'm at the end. And by the way, this is my work area, so you always want to make sure your work area is expanding. If you're not seeing your work area, I might have mentioned this before, but if not, let's just take a look here. It's not in the wrench, it's here. It's here in this little three horizontal lines here. You want to make sure the work area bar is on, because when I export, it's really nice to just export the work area. And if you're going to use After Effects, you're going to really get used to the work area. Okay, so moving right along, let's just take a look here. Let's say, so I have this, okay, so she's eating here. Now, maybe her entrance is, or maybe this is like, maybe I don't want to watch her eat the tree, okay? So what happens if I just want to shorten this clip? Well, if I'm using the selection tool, I would shorten it, and then I have to click here and hit delete. And that's kind of time consuming, right? Well, Ripple Edit is much better. So Ripple Edit is B is the keyboard shortcut. We also have Rolling Edit, Rate, Stretch, and Remix, which are great. They're all tools I'll teach you later on. But Ripple Edit's really great because now when I click, if I want to shorten to this point, it cuts it and removes that empty space for me without me having to drag it over, click on the empty area, delete. Also, if I want to use Ripple Edit to lengthen the clip, I can do that. And it shows me, well, where do I want to lengthen it? It shows me in this 2-frame display up above, see that? And it allows me to bring it exactly where I want. I can see maybe, okay, right after she finishes eating, let go, and it pushes over the other clip without affecting that other clip. Ripple Edit is your friend. You want to use it all the time. Would I be able to use it in the beginning of a clip? Absolutely. Now remember, Gertie is connected to the audio. And it's harder to use Ripple Edit if you have things disconnected. It sometimes won't work because it thinks that you're going to go out of sync and it doesn't want you to go out of sync. But let's use Gertie, which is synced up with its audio. And let's see. So she is going to come in. So she's taking a really long time to come in, right? So maybe I want to start it here so it's not as boring, okay? So I use Ripple Edit, which is this tool once again. And I love how Premiere just will allow you to snap to the playhead as long as you have snapping on. This is called Snap in Timeline. And I'm just going to click over here and snap to the timeline. So there you go. All right. So now when I play from the beginning of Gertie, I don't have to watch that boring long intro. See that? So Ripple Edit's great. It really helps with all kinds of issues. I'm going to try to use it over here with Jinxie Jenkins and Lucky Lou. I don't know if it will work because I have messed up a lot of things by extending the audio from the initial clip, which is showing that this is out of sync, that kind of thing. But let's see what happens if I try here. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to work. See that? It's because it doesn't know where the audio that was supposed to go with this clip is. It's not working. Okay, now I could try something. Let's just click there and then shift click here and see if it'll work. Now, as you can see, it automatically grabbed that part because this part is from here. This audio is from this clip. So it can get a little weird. As you can see, it's dragging back, but it's also dragging back this part on the left. And now it's a little confusing. Okay, so use Ripple Edit when you have video and audio that are completely linked together, like Gertie the dinosaur. Okay, let's go back to Ripple Edit. Don't try to, unless you're really experienced and you know what you're doing, just start out by using clips where the audio and video is linked. Or if you have no audio at all, it should work to just drag just the video. But as you can see, it's far superior to using the selection tool. Okay, so that brings us to just how to shorten and lengthen clips. Remember now with the selection tool, just to show you one other thing, if I wanted to lengthen a clip, I can't. It doesn't let me. I have to move a clip over to the right by clicking and dragging on it to make room for the selection tool to then extend. Whereas with the Ripple Edit tool, I don't have to do that. But as I said, the Ripple Edit tool is only going to work if you have easy to understand video and audio that's linked together or just video by itself. When you're in a situation like this, Ripple Edit can be difficult, okay? But please practice with it. It's really great. Now, moving right along, I am going to just quickly show you how to do titles. I'm also going to clean some things up so that you can export, because I know this assignment is due in 2 days. So I'm going to get rid of Gertie the dinosaur by just selecting it all and dragging and deleting it. And I'm going to get rid of Bugs Bunny. And I'm going to get rid of Laurel and Hardy. And we're going to say, okay, this is pretty good. I know there's some weird sound effects here, but let's focus on titles and exporting for now, because hopefully you have learned some cool things. And what I'm showing you right now is going to help you do a lot of really great editing. But let's see here. So we've got Jinxie Jenkins, but we don't have a title yet. I experimented with some titles. I'm actually going to delete all the titles here so that you don't see anything. And I'm going to show you some really cool things about titles. I believe they've changed since the last iteration of Premiere. So if you're new to, or if you've used older Premiere and you're like, why are the titles acting weird? Now you're going to learn some cool new things. Okay, so we're going to turn off mute because nothing's on audio track 2. And I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, well, I want to make a title. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my video track 2. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to make this bigger so you can see. And I'm going to change the name of video 2 by control clicking on it, rename, and we'll call this titles for now. Now, keep in mind, you never want titles and credits to be on video track 1. Why? It's much more organized to keep them on video track 2 or above, so that even if you have Blackbee for your video, so that let's say you have subtitles or you want to change the title name because it's a different country, like a different language, Spanish, English, German, Mandarin, something like that, you want to keep your titles on their own track. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click right about here, and I'm going to hit T, and I'm going to click over here, and I will type, instead of the encounter, we'll type the meeting. Okay, now as you can see, it's already doing this in the color that I already had for the encounter. But what I can do now is I can edit this and I can make templates, I can make styles, and they are really wonderful. Okay, so I'm highlighting this and I'm going to go ahead and go here to Window, Workspaces, and we'll go to Captions and Graphics. And now I will see, hopefully not crash on me, right? Okay, cool. Now you'll notice I don't see anything on video track 2, and that's because it's really small. It's like 1 frame or so, something like that. So I'm going to click and just drag it and make it big and long. So this title, can be right above Jinxie Jenkins and Lucky Lou here. And let's say I don't like this font. You can get really deep into this. There's some really cool things you can do with these. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change, because I'm in Essential Graphics and I'm in edit mode. Browse, by the way, allows us to choose all these really cool graphics that Premiere has ready for you. But I want to just use simple text. So I can go into edit. I can change the color. So right here, instead of this turquoisey color, I can click here and it will bring up a color picker. And what's really cool about the color picker is I can then click here and get this eyedropper, and then I can choose any color that's in here and make it match. So maybe I want the meeting to be the color of this door, or I want it to be the color of this leaf. Pretty cool, right? Or the color of this concrete down here. Obviously I want it to stand out as well as possible, so I might choose the concrete since the meeting isn't going to be over the concrete. And then I click OK. And then I can change the size. So as you can see, fill now is the color of the concrete. I can go ahead and I can make this a larger, well, let's change the style, the text, the font. So maybe I want it to be a little bit different. I want it to be like, let's go with, it was impact. Let's try something fun. Maybe I'll just go with love style. That's kind of cute. The meeting, okay? And that's a nice style. Love, text, love. Okay, so that's a font. And maybe I want it to be bold so I can see it a little bit better, because this is kind of a small font. But I can always make the font bigger. And let's see here. Well, this is the distance between. And here, let's go here. This is the size of the font. See that? So I can make it a lot bigger. You want to make sure that your font is, or that your titles are always in the middle. You don't want them to be too close to the edges. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a little while, but keep it in the middle for now. And then I can go ahead and align this, align horizontally, align vertically, and there you go. So that's pretty nice, okay? So now, as you can see, this is the title. And to keep things short, just so that you can export easily, let's just go with something very simple. I'll show you more detailed, cool things about titles later, because there's a lot to learn. I just want you to be able to export. I want to keep this relatively short. So let's say that's good enough. Now, in the past, I could actually drag this into my graphics and it would become an actual graphic, just like an asset, just like all of these assets. Now what I have to do is I would have to go and select this, and if I want to put it in my graphics folder, and let's just scroll down here. I have a bunch of stuff in my graphics folder because I was playing around, and what I could do if I want to put it in here, I can't just drag it anymore. I have to go to graphics and titles, Oh, and you can upgrade to source graphics. But let me go ahead and go back here to, let's go to window workspaces and go back to editing. Because sometimes you have to be in the right workspace to do things the way you want to do them. So I'm just going to click off of here, and that's kind of cute, right? So if we look at it here, let's just see the meeting. Okay, so that's kind of cute. And you know what I would want to do is I would want it to, come on at just the right spot with the music. That would be really cool. Let me just check something. As you can see now, because I'm in the editing workspace, in order to put meeting into my graphics, let's go into my graphics folder and let's just double click on it. I have to be in the editing workspace. And then if I go to graphics and, oh geez, that's really weird. It worked, it came up and it worked and then it didn't work. Let's click on it here. Let's just see. If I click on it here, okay, let's try that again. No, doesn't want to work. Let's go here. Let's go here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it worked a second ago and it's not working now. I'll show you in a little while. So anyway, I would be able to upgrade it and it would be able to come into here. But for now, let's not worry about that. Okay, so let's just look for, oh, now it's working. Okay, I know how to do this. It's so annoying. You can't be in the editing. It has to look blue and you have to click onto V2. You can't click in here. You have to click here. And then you can upgrade to source graphics. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now you can see it's called graphic here. And I'm going to name it right away so that I know it's called the meeting. Premiere can be so persnickety. Okay, so now this, if I wanted to keep using it and bringing it back in, I could do that. The only problem is if I change the words, it'll change for the whole thing. So there are ways around that where, like, you can create styles. You see how this says PR? Or you could create templates. And then you could use the same exact graphic to change and change it as you're going along so that you don't have this graphic as just something that will always change if I change the word. So for example, let me show you. So let's say I go, okay, now it's a source graphic, so I want to bring it over here, okay? But I don't want it to say the meeting anymore. I want it to say something else, right? So if I do this and I make this a little bit longer and I go here and I say, okay, I want it to now say opening the door, for example. So I go in here and I type opening the door, opening the door. How cute, huh? The problem is now it says opening the door over here. You see that? So that's not going to be good, right? Sometimes it's good to have a source graphic, especially if you want to repeat the same thing over and over, like next page or something like that. But in this case, I don't want to do that, right? So how would I make this into a template that I can use, right? Or maybe a style that I can use, okay? So let's go ahead and see. I can go ahead in here and I'm like in, oops, sorry, it's slow. Once I'm in here and I'm in the editing mode, okay, and I click in here, you'll see this thing that says styles none, okay? I can make this a style, create style. You'll notice I made one called 70s style. I can change this, I can make this style romance, okay? And click on OK. Look at that. Now I have a new style. So now, let's say I typed over here, okay, and I wasn't using this style, okay? I just was, or let's say I had maybe this, the encounter, and I brought this in, okay? Let's take a look. This is something else that I typed, and it's the wrong font, okay, right? And I want it to be, so the meeting and then the encounter, I want it to have this style, romance. Watch this. I drag that on there, and now it says the encounter. And so it's very, very cool. Of course, that's really huge. So I'm going to have to go in, and I should be able to adjust it. Let's see. Let's go in there and highlight the whole thing and make the size much smaller. And it's not going to affect the meeting. It's not going to affect this. Okay, let's just take the whole thing. But as you can see, I took the style that I created and I made it, and there we go. Let's make it a little smaller. There you go. And then I can go ahead and center it. So now I have a style that I can apply to any graphic that I want to type in on video track 2. So that's pretty nice, right? Okay, so that's just a little bit. There's so much to learn about graphics, but at least this gives you an idea of how you can create them. If you wanted to save them, you don't really need to save them in here. What I would do is just create a style like we just did, and just to review, if you are, like, let's go here now, right? If you are in editing mode and you click in to turn it red, it's going to show you all this great stuff, and then you can create a new style, okay? Very cool stuff. All right, so let's look at this again, and we're going to get ready to export it, okay? I know it's not even done at all, but I don't want to bore you with me making some kind of nice video, and you know, in order to export, you just need to know how to export. I put this over here, and as you can see, you could have all kinds of cool overlays of titles that make your video that much more fun. I'm going to show you a few things before we export. Here we go. Let's just see here the meeting. All right, so what if, let's make this bigger. I want to make this longer. I'll have it come in, and you should really try to think of when could it come in. What's the best time? Well, if you look at your audio waveforms, you know, you can zoom in and you can say, well, I want it to come in right on a beat. So like I can see the beats right there. They're the spikes, and maybe just slightly before. So let's take a look. I'd have to massage it a little bit. So really try to cut to the beat. We'll have a whole lesson on that later on. Okay, so let's say this is fun, and this is what I want. Huge. All right. So like maybe right here, because we have those sounds that didn't work, I could just fade out right at the end, right here, okay? Just to make this simple. Okay, so I'm going to grab these and just fade them out. And I could have grabbed them at the same time. Oop, Command Z. Okay, let's unlink this so that this doesn't react to me dragging this one here. Okay, so I'm going to fade out there. I'm going to have it in there. Now, I could fade out at the end, and there are lots of ways to do that as well. But this is the first lesson, so I don't want to get you too crazy here. So what we're going to do to fade out is we're going to go ahead and we're going to use this pen tool, and we're going to click on this line here, not the top, not the bottom, but you see this line that's sort of almost to the top, maybe 3/4 to the top. If I click on that, I make what's called a keyframe, and then I click down here and I drag this one down to the bottom, and I do it here as well, and I can make a fade out. Now, if you don't see this line, Okay, you go into the wrench and you make sure show audio keyframes and show video keyframes are both checked. Otherwise, you won't see the line. So let me show you. If I uncheck it, I don't see that line. So I go back into the wrench and turn it on. Okay, so let's just see how my very short video will end like this. Okay, so there you go. That gives you a good idea of how all of this works. One thing I do want to do before I export is I'm just going to have it start from black. You usually should have like a second or two of black when you start off, and I'm going to turn off snapping, so I can just drag it a little bit so we just have a little bit of black to start off with, so that the audience can get used to watching it. Okay, in other words, getting ready in their seats. I once had a video start right off the bat and people weren't ready for it. Okay, it was a big mistake. You don't want to make that mistake. Okay, so I'm going to just, let's put my playhead right at 2 seconds, and that's about right. And I'll just snap it. It could actually, now I could turn snapping back on, but that should be about right. And let's take a look here. By the way, let's go back to Window, Workspaces, Editing. Now, you'll notice editing is kind of messed up because I've been playing with Essential Graphics. So I could go Window, Workspaces, and revert to Save Layout, and it will revert to the initial factory settings of Premiere. I'm going to zoom out here. And here's my short but sweet, cute little video. I'm going to hit Command S. Don't ever forget to save. And that's all I've got. Okay, so I would like you to put titles and credits on here. Try to make it as good as possible. Those of you who are more advanced Premiere users, do all your bells and whistles. Make it as polished as possible. Make it really great. But now I can just click over here on Export. Premiere's gotten a lot more efficient than it used to be. Normally I would go File, Export in the past, but over the last year or two they've put this nice cool, they've tabbed it. And we're going to go with very simple stuff here. So we're going to stick with H.264, high quality 1080p HD. This is a very high quality format for your video to play on YouTube or on the internet in any way. You want to make sure your location is the right place though. Now remember what I taught you last time about digital audio, digital DAM management, right? The Susan Bloom handout, remember that? So we want to make sure we're going to the right place. So I'm going to go to my external hard drive, and I think it's digital asset management. Yes, there, my brain's working. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Cal State Long Beach, to 415, and to fall 2023, sorry. And we're going to go ahead and go to section 3 because that's just my first section. And here's my top folder, remember that? And look, KVM exports. Click right there. Remember, because I made the right title, my video is going to export perfectly with my name, kids mashup, the date, everything's going to look great. And just to show you, see that? It's 2023-09-01 and version 1, and it's going to be an MP4, which is perfect. I'm going to click on Save. And remember, that's because I named my project and my sequence appropriately. It's going to go in the right place. This is all good. And I'm just going to choose the right thing. Here's my work area. Now, if I'm confused, like, oh, is my work area now too long? That's really important, so don't forget that step. So let me go back to Edit. And let's just see, oh yeah, my work area was really long. Now, it should snap to how long your video is. For some reason, mine is not snapping. And let me turn on the snap. Sometimes it gets a little wonky if your operating system's like overwhelmed, things like that. But there you go. So there, now it's the length of the video. I go back to export. See how easy it is? You don't have to quit your export and undo a bunch of, waste a lot of time. It remembered my settings. It remembers that this goes into the top folder with exports. It's just going to be my work area that's exported. So I'm not going to export a whole bunch of nothing, right? Which is a big mistake a lot of people make. And this is looking good. Okay, 23.976 frames per second, 1920 by 1080 pixels. So this is a high definition video, but it's going to be pretty small as videos go. And I'm going to click on export. And it's going to render, and then it's going to tell me that it's done. It should tell me down here. Now there's a really cool thing that Premiere can do, and some of you probably already know this. You can actually set it up to export and publish to YouTube all in one big step. But you have to have a YouTube channel, so that means you have to have a Gmail address, a Gmail email, and you have to make sure that you're logged in. And once you do that, it's really cool. It's going to export and upload to YouTube, and you're all set in one little step. But here it is. So it says it's been exported successfully. And there you go. That's really nice, and it tells where it is. So I'm going to go back to my Finder, and I'm going to go to Gen Orange. Now, it used to, I'm pretty sure it used to actually, if you clicked on it, it would take you right there. Now, for some reason it didn't, but let's go ahead and we're going to go to Cal State Long Beach. Where are you, Cal State Long Beach? Come on, Cal State Long Beach. And right here, we're going to go to Fall, Section 3, Top Folder, Exports, and here it is. And if I double click on it, you always want to play it, make sure it's working properly before you turn it in. Let's see. 2 seconds of black. The meeting. There you go. Now, it did look a little bit blurry. It is lower resolution than 1920 by 1080. That might be part of the problem. I was playing it at a quarter, but that's just playback resolution. That's not exporting resolution. So let me just check one thing. But let's say it's as good as it can be, then you just turn it in. Let me just see something. I think that is as good as it can be. Progressive video, preset format, video. Let's just take a look here. I'm going to open up some of my settings. Aspect custom, match source. So you can go in here. Let's look at more and just see. I could go back in and render at maximum depth. Okay, so I could try this. I'm not going to waste your time, but you could click on that and export again and see if the quality is better. But changing my playback should not be a problem. Remember, this was a much smaller video than 1920 by 1080, so it's not going to look as beautiful as we would like. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, but try to make it as high quality as possible. And notice over here, see, this is where you could publish to all these different platforms, which is really cool. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will put it up shortly. See you later. Thanks. Bye.